Is your business pootling along instead of firing on all cylinders? Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and frustrated? Do your dreams of financial freedom feel a long way off? Then this is the podcast for you. Little Voice, Big Business, with your host, Nadia.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Little Voice, Big Business with me, Nadia. And today I have a special guest. Today I'm here with Aandra Bohlen. Hello!
Hey, Nadia.
Hey, Aandra. I'm really happy to have you on my podcast. And shall we tell everyone a bit about what you do? Because it's similar to what I do in some ways, but I'll let you introduce yourself and then we're going to have a little chat.
Love it. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I work directly with entrepreneurs to really help them boost their profitability, boost their mindset, cultivate confidence and grit by using mindset principles coupled with soulful selling techniques so they can get paid.
Nice.
And doing it in a way that it feels good, right? It should always feel good.
Exactly. I think everyone would be interested to hear about the stuff you did before you did this.
I actually was working in corporate America for, a major Fortune 500 company. I was a client manager and, worked directly with big names like AT&T, Vonage, and Bell South. And so I have, about 26 plus years of sales and operational management experience. And to be quite frank, I really loved the corporate life. I love the politics. I love the people. I love the happy hours,
Yeah, happy hour. What's not to love? But
I know the best ideas come out of happy hours, I'm telling you.
And you did a lot of sales, didn't you, in your role?
I've been in sales. I mean, to be honest with you guys, to sell is to be human. We've all been selling, but in the professional capacity, I've been from my very first job at 16. So I've got, 26 plus years of award-winning sales experience.
Ooh, award-winning.
I know what I'm doing, and I love helping other people do the same. So.
And when you first started working for yourself, so started your business, what was the hardest thing? What was the biggest challenge for you?
Well, I was free falling. I had no plan, no money. Literally, I did it back asswards, right? I mean, I did it nothing like you're supposed to do it. I would never advise what I did to anyone else, with the exception of taking action, because I was happy in my job. Sure, there were things about my corporate life that, weren't always satisfying, especially the time commitment, right? Because I had a lot of overseas clients. So, if the phone rang at 3:00 in the morning because, an IVR, a phone system was down, I had to answer the call, right? So, but for the most part, the one tip that I would always tell people is don't do it the way I did it, except when you hear that whisper, that voice, that nudge that says, go now, do it now, do it. And that's exactly what happened to me. I woke up one day, I was 34 years old, and I heard a voice that said, if you don't go now, you won't. So go. And that's exactly what I did.
And it's interesting because I had a similar experience when I ditched my job. It was weird. It was like one day it was okay and I could deal with it. And then the next day, suddenly it wasn't. I tipped over the edge and was suddenly like, I really need to get out of here. Like, now's the time. I didn't necessarily identify it as a voice, but for me, it was literally, today's the day. You need to get out.
I think it's important. I think as entrepreneurs, I think it's important for us to realize and recognize that we get nudges all the time. And the only way to strengthen our intuition is to pay attention to it and respond and not question it. And so, I always invite people like, hey, if you feel called upon to even like just check out your window, like something just says, hey, look outside your window, do it. And just pay attention to those nudges, because those nudges are really your knowing that can really open up some really powerful, infinite possibilities in your life and in your business.
That's so interesting. And it reminds me of, have you read Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
When I picked up the book back then, it just didn't hit me. And I'm one of those people that I'm really passionate about reading. And so I give a book a chance. And if it hits me, it hits me. If not, I put it down and don't look back until one day I decide to pick it up again. Yeah. And I haven't gotten the nudge to pick that back up. It just didn't really, it didn't jive for me personally. So I guess maybe I wasn't ready for it or what have you. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Because the thing for me with that book is that it's all about kind of connecting to your intuition and trusting what your gut instinct tells you. So if somebody was looking for a way to understand that more, it might help them. But perhaps you didn't need it because you were already kind of connected to the intuition within you. And
who knows?
Who knows? We've no idea, whatever, it's fine. So you help people with their mindset. And this is something which, as you, my lovely listener, will know, I'm really interested in helping people with. So I'd love to hear, Aandra, what you reckon the biggest thing is that holds entrepreneurs back.
Their beliefs. About
what? What kind of beliefs?
Any belief they have that is dimming them down in their life or in their business. Because it's not, even though I work around the mind, what I'm really working around is your belief system. Because your beliefs, what you believe about, you bring about. Your beliefs actually are the boss of your behavior. Thus, your behavior, your thoughts are really just systemic of your beliefs. So if you shift your beliefs, you can shift your thoughts. If you shift your thoughts, you can shift your behaviors. I like to get to the nut. You know what I mean? I'm not a surface type of gal. I don't like to throw affirmations at people and mantras and stuff like that unless it's anchored in something more powerful. And so what I have found in my experience, even my own stuff, right? I mean, listen, I've got limiting beliefs that I definitely am always working that pop up. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And so I have to do the work to really untruth those. And so a lot of the work that I do and the thing that I say to entrepreneurs is your beliefs are the boss of your reality. So let's start there. And then that way we can really light your life up in your business.
I love that. Your beliefs are the boss of your reality. And so what kind of things do people believe in your experience? So the things I come across, I can't do it, I don't have the relevant experience, I'm not good enough, or I'm not different enough, or no one's going to hire me, that kind of stuff. Is that what you see?
Completely, Nadia. And what's so fascinating is if we look at the string that ties all those together, it's all a form of perceptionitis, right? We get so caught up. Everything that you just said is really on the hinges of what will people think about me? Will they think I'm smart enough? Will they think that this is good enough? Will they think that I'm creative enough? Will they think I'm smart? Will they think I'm bright? Will they think I'm this, that? Will they buy from me? All of those things hinge on perceptions, what we think people will think about us. And so that's a huge, huge opportunity for us. A lot of people think that perfectionism is the paralyzer. It's really perceptionism.
I've not even heard of that word before, but now that now it's I like making up words too. And that was one of the things I liked, your mindset, skill set, will set. And you're like, I've made this up. It sounds good.
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious.
So should we really not give two hoots what people think about us then?
No, we should care about what people think about, how people see us, perceive us, but not at the detriment of our own soul's knowing of what we think about ourselves. So when I see people say, oh, give them the middle finger or screw them, who cares what they think? I think that's bullshit. We do care what people think about us. Of course we do. We're human beings and we're wired for connection, right?
Yeah, that does feel like too much of a leap for me to think, who cares what they say, whatever, they don't know, they're idiots, like that.
And that's why people don't move past that block, right? Because they're trying to fake it and it's all BS, right?
Yeah.
No, I think we definitely care, but here's the hook. I want you to experience me, Nadia. I want you to, at the end of this podcast, say, wow, I really like Aandra. You liking me is not more valuable than me liking myself. So I'm not going to do it at the expense of my own knowing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we need to like ourselves first. And then after that, obviously it's natural for us to want people to like us. But at the same time, you just have to be yourself. And then if there's a connection, then that's cool. And if there's you don't vibe with somebody, then, never mind.
Exactly. It's like, I like me and I would love for you to like me too. But if you don't, it's okay.
I do like you. It's fine. You scare me slightly, but I really like you. So it's cool. And this was one of the reasons I wanted us to talk, because we do similar things, but we're so different. And I thought, what an awesome podcast to get you on and have us talk about self-belief and stuff that's holding us back, and to see the different approaches that we have. So,
yeah.
And you talk a lot about grit. So I want to know, what does grit mean to you?
Grit, at the end of the day, is stick-to-itiveness. It's your ability to really push through. And I think a lot of people poop out on themselves all too quickly.
They poop out on themselves.
Yeah, they poop out. They raise the I quit flag,
too easily. I think people give up so soon, and they wonder why they're not successful. And it's because they gave it a try for 3 days.
Well, and look at how the culture has been raised, right? It's a gimme, 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 now, now, now culture. And so if I don't see something right away, then I automatically think that it's because I suck. And then those perceptions come in, those limiting beliefs come back in. When true grit is really about perseverance, delayed gratification, big one, repeat, delayed gratification, resilience, passion. It's all of those combined. And definitely invite your listeners, if they want to download a free grit guide and also take a gritty test, they can do that on my website.
And just remind us of your website.
Sure. It's AandraBohlen.com.
Thank you. Yes. Go and download that, guys, because I think that sounds really cool. And I definitely think we agree on this subject, that it's important to, work hard, keep pushing, obviously, not flogging a dead horse. But at the same time, if something's tough, you have to keep pressing on. And I think we're sometimes sold, we are sold a lie in some ways, that we see a lot of this, do these, follow this formula, run webinars and this is going to happen, build your list, blah, 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 blah. And it makes it sound so easy, and that is for a reason, obviously, because the person selling it wants us to believe them. But at the same time, I've been here for a number of years doing this work. You've been here for a while too, and it didn't just happen overnight. And I think that's the reality.
And everything's about, if I were to use a sports analogy, it's all about adjusting, right? It's about block and move and adjust. And, and this is the thing. It's like, we as entrepreneurs, we have to be willing to fall flat on our face, because it's a process. I mean, if I were to tell you that the last 8 years of being in business, where I'm swallowing rainbows and unicorns, it's just not true. I mean, even last month I was on my ass, it just happens. So what I always invite people to do is be willing to fall and be willing to sit there for a minute. Don't be in such a rush to get up, because there's a lot that can be learned on the ground. It's true. I've been on the ground a few times. In the past, I've experienced things and then rushed into making decisions, and then the stuff you end up doing isn't a load of old rubbish, and you have to kind of change again and again. And I think it's important too for us to take the approach where we test ideas, we test things. I try and look at everything as a test. Is this going to work? How did that pan out? What do I need to adjust? The idea that you sit at home and create something, and
sort of tweak it and polish it until it's perfect. You shove it out there and it's an immediate success. I mean, that's just rubbish. That never happens. So I think it's kind of a mindset shift, isn't it? That
I love that. And I love what, how I would summarize what you just shared is detach, but fully commit. In other words, someone might say, well, Aandra, how can you be detached yet fully committed? I'll tell you how. You detach from the expectations or the attachment to a certain outcome, but you fully commit to the process of giving birth to what it is. And then you're that much more open and willing to look at it and evaluate it from an objective space, right? Where it's not attached to your persona, but it's just an element of something that you put out there, and you can look at it and say, wow, that really worked well. I'm going to keep that party going the next time around. Or, hey, ditch this. That didn't work at all.
So the detachment is about kind of objectivity and being able to analyze what happened.
Totally. And I think sometimes we get far too attached to our own prescribed outcomes. And when we do that, we're literally thwarting and interfering with what I call the divine master of manifesting.
Ooh, divine master. That sounds pretty full on.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, I could go on for days talking about manifesting because, so many entrepreneurs, we want to manifest good in our life. And I can't tell you how many, mostly women that I work with say, well, I just don't think I'm that good at it. Well, the truth is, my love, you have been manifesting. We all are manifestors. The question is, what do you want to manifest more of? And when we set objectives and goals, there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not saying be somewhat detail oriented, but what I mean by detail is just be clear in the intention and then get out of the business, the divine master of manifesting, which is to focus on, let them worry about how, when, and where, right? Let them worry about the details, because if we interfere with that, we're limiting the infinite possibilities that can exist for us.
Intriguing.
Are you struggling to make money in your business?
Yes.
You're working your butt off for so little return, it's not even funny. Sometimes it feels like you've lumbered yourself with an expensive hobby, not a business.
I need a dollar, that's what I need.
Imagine bringing in $5,000 a month, every month. What would you be able to do? Travel?
Last call for passengers on flight Air France 2049 to Paris Charles de Gaulle.
Spend more time relaxing. Hit the shops? Sounds good, doesn't it? But getting beyond the pennies to those $5,000 months is tricky. There are so many things you could be doing, it's hard to know where to start. You're busy all the time, working so hard. And yet you're just not making any money. It's so overwhelming. Everywhere you look, other people seem to have nailed it. You can't help but compare yourself to them. How can you possibly stand out? Nadia specialises in strategy and support for female entrepreneurs. If you want to grow your business and make more money without working any harder, Nadia is your girl. Less work, more money, more fun. Sounds good. Introducing the Profit Pack to help women like you go big.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You'll find he is a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever, oh, ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things.
10 years of Nadia's expertise brought together for you in one place for the first time. Let Nadia guide you along the profit path so that you're moving day by day towards those $5,000 months. Step-by-step modules with videos and workbooks, support from Nadia in the Facebook group when you need it. A super friendly Facebook group with support and encouragement from your fellow female entrepreneurs. If you're sick of working crazy hours for tiny profits, join the Profit Pack and get your business working for you instead of the other way around. Come join the Profit Pack. Visit nadiafiner.com/pack to register today.
On a slightly more kind of skill, well, maybe not really skills, but more sort of concrete stuff. I want to talk about sales. Sales as a superpower, because I know that you are particularly blessed in that department. You are, in fact, award-winning, as you mentioned, and you've got a very, very strong reputation in that area for being able to help even the most sales challenged person to sort it out. So yes, I have over the years managed to teach myself how to sell as well, and it turned my business around. Clients of mine, people I come into contact with, often are firstly afraid of selling, and secondly, probably as a result of that fear, they are not doing any of it.
Exactly. Yeah, sales is a big one, but it's the bottom line is if you're in business, you're getting paid to produce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sales is a fundamental requirement of being in business. The two have to go hand in hand. So how do you help somebody who's scared shitless to enter into powerful sales conversations? You know, I spend a lot of time first with my clients, demystifying what they think sales is and is not. Most people feel like, well, I don't want to be pushy, or they have that really vivid image of that nasty used car salesman guy with the greasy hair and the cigar smelling jacket, and then he's pushing up on you and, you know, making you buy. That's not what sales is. Sales, that's just an asshole. Sales is a totally different experience.
I think about sales as selling is helping. So for me, it's about identifying the problem. And then if you're the right person, then to kind of provide a solution to that problem. And the solution is generally hire me and I'll solve it for you kind of thing. So if you have tips on how people can have more impactful sales conversations, that would be great.
So I love what you just said. And ultimately, yes, selling is serving. That's ultimately what selling is. To sell means to be willing to basically stand up very powerfully in your business and be willing to not be a hoarder, right? Because if you're not selling, you're hoarding. You're literally hoarding, hiding, and cheating and robbing people. You're a thief if you're not selling, because you're stealing from other people the opportunity to experience you. And so that's the first thing. So the first tip that I would say is I want you to look at selling as really a way of you showing up in service on behalf of your business. The second tip that we give somebody is very simply that your job in a sales conversation isn't always, a successful sales call isn't always about the yes as far as you're hired. Sometimes the most successful sales call is when you identify that based on what you've learned about that person, you're not the right person for them, and you can absolutely help them find the right person, or sometimes you can do things to get them sales ready for you. So a lot of people, you know, don't go into sales calls because they're afraid of the big no.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd rather avoid, you know, we always try to avoid rejection. And so objections and conditions are not rejections. They're actually really powerful indicators that you have something interesting worth them objecting over. Because an objection is just an opportunity for them to delay a decision. A condition is something that's really true for them. So objections are not rejections. It's just a redirection of the conversation. So there's a lot that I work with my clients around mindset as it relates to sales, how to really pull together a very powerful core message, core offering. A lot of the things that they fear really, so we've got three big fears when it comes to selling. I don't want to come off sleazy.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, I don't know what to do when they say no.
I think that third one is definitely, I hear that a lot. So if someone says, no, I can't afford it right now, or, you know, I'm just not in the right mood, or it's not the right time for me, or any number of objections, what should you do? So I know what I do. I know my heart tells me often I want to literally just go, okay, thank you, bye, and put the phone down. But obviously you can't just do that.
No.
So that's my kind of gut reaction to that kind of moment. And I know a lot of people share that. So what's your advice for us at that point in the conversation when it was all going so well and you feel like
it's always going to go well until you ask for the money.
Yeah.
When you ask for the commitment, it'll always go well until it's time to commit, right? And so one of the things that I can tell you guys is that when you understand what an objection truly is, that it's not really even about the words that they're saying, the words that are coming out of their mouth is not actually what they mean. And so I love that you said guts, because I actually just created a signature method called Gutsy for the exact process of overcoming objections. And so I literally created this for my sales course attendees, for my students. And so I haven't even put it out to the public beyond my students. So
this is like a sneak peek, a preview.
It is. It's called
like
the
VIPs.
Gutsy Girl Method, which is an acronym that literally walks you through what to do when you hear that. But what I can tell you is one of the things that's going to be helpful for you in not wanting to have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh my gosh, okay, thanks so much for your time, is to understand what is really happening when they're objecting. What do they really mean? How do you get underneath the meaning? How do you decipher and decode it so that it doesn't feel so personal? Because it's not. Objections have nothing to do with you. It's a conditioning that all of us have been trained to do, which is to automatically say no. Sometimes people say no because they want to see if they can get a better deal out of you. Sometimes people say no in different ways. They'll say no by saying, hey, let me think about it. Let me talk to my spouse. What's another one? Not now, right?
Yeah.
And Zig Ziglar, who's like the daddy of all sales, says there's 5 sales obstacles that we have to overcome in every conversation. No need, no hurry, no desire, no trust, and no money.
That's very useful. Can we just repeat that again so that people remember?
So it's Zig Ziglar, who is the granddaddy of all sales, right? And he says there's 5 obstacles that every sale has to overcome. No need, no hurry, no desire, no trust, and no money. And so when you know what you're up against, it's kind of like if you know that you're going to be driving from point A to point B, and you've watched the news and they've told you all the obstacles that are going to happen between A and B, you're going to take a different route, or you're going to best prepare yourself to navigate those obstacles, right?
There seems to be a few determining factors for those who overcome. First of all, they've committed themselves, and commitment prepares you to meet obstacles and downfalls. Because if you've made a commitment to do something and disaster strikes or calamities take place or things don't go your way, you immediately start thinking, how do I solve the problem? If you have no commitment, your first thought is, how do I get out of this deal? And we generally find what we're looking for. And as I laughingly tell people, some people are about as committed as a kamikaze pilot on his 39th mission.
That's where I would answer those objections in a sales page before you have the call, or just be prepared on the call to answer those specific questions, because you've basically told us in ahead of time what they're going to say.
Exactly. And so you weave it. This is one of the things that I teach, is how to prevent objections, because the truth is you won't be able to prevent all objections, but you can definitely make them less intense on a call. So oftentimes I don't really get a lot of objections on my sales calls, my discovery calls. I close my discovery calls on the first call in a lot of cases. Part of that has to do with what I do to pre-qualify them before they even get on the call, the expectations that I set before they get on the call, what I do to get them sales ready before the call, and then how I continually put them in yes mode throughout the call. So it's very rare that I get a lot of objections, But if I do, I know exactly psychologically what they're telling me. So I have that gutsy girl model method is going to actually help you get them to tell the truth about their true reluctance.
Their true reluctance, as opposed to all the completely nonsensical random excuses they come up with at the end. But then I think you've already shown us that they fall into those categories.
Yeah.
I like what you said before about pre-qualifying people as well. That's certainly something I know a lot of us need to improve upon, rather than just getting on the phone with anybody who's willing to talk to us, because that's
Right.
a surefire way to be very busy chatting to a bunch of randomers.
Totally. And something that you can do to pre-qualify that I started doing is I charge people for the discovery call.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Tell me about this. Goodness me.
Well, here's why. Because I am looking for people who are serious and ready to commit, right? And so are you, and so are all your listeners. And so what I do, and I make it sound, obviously it's all about how you word it, but essentially, if you book into a session to be a part of my one-on-one Big Magic Big Biz one-on-one coaching program, I'm going to charge you $100 to even have the conversation about the program. Now, in that conversation, I'm going to throw some tips your way that might help you. But essentially, it sets the stage that those who are serious and probably already want to buy the program and get into the coaching program already know that they're there, right? So you pay $100 to basically qualify to talk to me. If you end up buying the program, hiring me, then I'm going to apply that $100 to the package price. If you don't, you still had a powerful conversation with me where I can guarantee you, not only in the evaluation phase of the discovery call, are you going to gain value, but I'm going to throw some bones your way too.
That's a really clever idea. Okay, peeps, I think that's something to bear in mind. And before I let you go, because I could actually talk to you all day, I think there's lots to discuss, but I know you're busy. What would be the one tip you would give to someone who hasn't already got into the sales groove? What's the one thing they can do to start being better at selling?
Do it scared.
Do it scared?
Here's the thing that I've learned, Nadia. The one thing that you can do to put yourself in a position to make more money, to live more powerfully in your life, to, have a kick-ass business is you have to be willing to do it scared. So the only way that I know to cultivate confidence is through the act of doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to practice, right? And so when I say do it scared, what I'm saying is very simply is that fear is just part of the human experience. And we do so much to avoid feeling fearful that we're literally living a dead life when we do that. And there's only two people I know who don't experience fear, who are fearless. So I get really pissed off when I see those quotes about be fearless, live fearlessly. No, dude. The only two people aren't afraid, and that's psychopaths, sociopaths.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And toddlers.
Yeah, it's madness. It is madness because...
Yeah, so you got to do it scared and learn to develop a new relationship with fear. Be clear that fear is just along for the ride, that fear is a companion to courage. Fear is a companion to bravery. And it doesn't have to be a dictatorship. It can be a democracy. So when you do it scared, something really magical happens. All of a sudden, when you get to the other side of that action, you realize it just wasn't that scary in the first place.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting that we agree, but we have such a different way of expressing the same kind of thing. Because, I completely believe that fear is, like you say, it's a companion. It's something that comes with you. It's never going to go away. If you didn't have fear, you would be a lunatic. You'd be kind of dive bombing off the side of cliffs and doing all this crazy stuff. So we need a bit of fear. And actually, when you feel fear, that means that you're about to do something exciting. So
totally. You're not growing if you're not fearing,
Yeah,
It's just
Exactly.
managing the relationship with fear. And the other thing that I could tell your listeners as far as sales goes, outside of the do it scared, the fluffy stuff, right? What you want to learn more about, dedicate yourself to learning about it. Don't deny yourself the opportunity. If you know that selling is one of your areas of opportunities, don't avoid it, dive into it, right? So whatever that looks like for you, studying, pulling up Zig Ziglar, Googling how to sell, Googling psychological sales triggers, or, sign up, to get on the wait list for the next run of my Sell Your Way to Yes course. Whether it be me or whoever it is, passionately pursue turning that opportunity into one of your strengths.
Yeah, I love that. And a good mention there again of your course. It sounds really cool and something that I'm sure lots of us need. So thank you so much. And thank you for all the amazing advice there. And I'm hoping that people will go to your website, andrabohlen.com, and check you out and download your freebies and find out more about you. So thanks for coming on the show, and we'll stay in touch. We will stay in touch.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. And I love listening to your voice. So I know the listeners are just going to be swooning like I do. I love the work that you're doing. And I really appreciate that. There's so many beautiful entrepreneurs. And I think that you and I just modeled what I think is really an important lesson. So often, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are afraid to step out and boldly share their gifts because they think there's somebody else already doing it. And what we've proven is that two women, very clear desires to help people show up more powerfully in their life. And we both say it differently. And so there it is. There's the proof. There's room and space for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. And also when we come together, more exciting stuff happens, bring it together and see what comes. So thank you so much, Aandra. And
thank you, Nadia.
We'll hang out more soon. See you later.
Talk later. Be well.
You too. Bye, Han. Bye.
Little voice, big business.